So we're going to begin this news hour with the exodus of ethnic Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh. Queues of people are still trying to leave more than a week after Azerbaijan took control in a swift military offensive. The leader of Nagorno-Karabakh has signed a decree ordering the dissolution of the self-declared republic. All state institutions are going to cease to exist from January the 1st next year. More than half of the 120,000 ethnic Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh have fled to Armenia. That's about 68,000 people. Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is urging the international community to act against what he calls ethnic cleansing.
In a few days, there will be no more Armenians left in Nagorno-Karabakh. This is an act of ethnic cleansing and depriving people of their homeland, something we have been warning the international community about for a long time. As for Armenia, our priority now is to receive our brothers and sisters deported from Nagorno-Karabakh as carefully as possible and provide their needs.
As we were mentioning, tens of thousands of ethnic Armenians have now fled Nagorno-Karabakh. Many packed their cars, vans and tractors with belongings. As Bernard Smith reports, others walked to the nearest village on the Armenian side of the border.
Susanna Hambat-Somyan, her children and her mother say they ran to the woods from their village in Nagorno-Karabakh as Azerbaijan's military advanced on the region. They've not been home since and walked here from the border. Susanna's eldest son Eric says what they're wearing is all they were able to bring with them.
Now we have nothing. We left everything there. We just left our homes on September 19th at midday because of the war. We'd been told we had to leave because the enemy was approaching, and no one stayed in the village. Now we're in this situation.
As Armenia tries to accommodate all those who fled, many are coming to terms with the destruction of a project that began in 1988. That was when the Armenians of Karabakh first tried to break away from Soviet Azerbaijan.
We don't know where we will sleep tonight.
I just can't imagine the future. My thoughts are mixed now. I don't know what we will do at all. I blame Azerbaijan. They captured our land and forced us out from our village, from our motherland. And now we're like this.
Many of those here say they feared ethnic cleansing if they stayed in Karabakh, claims dismissed as nonsense by Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan's capture of Nagorno-Karabakh has triggered one of the biggest movements of people in this region since the fall of the Soviet Union. The government in Baku has repeatedly said it guarantees the security of ethnic Armenians who prefer to stay put. But there's no one here willing to take up that offer. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Goris, Armenia.
OK, we're going to cross to Osama Bin Javed, who's in Fuzuli in Azerbaijan. There's lots to talk about with this, Osama. Let's start with that decree that's been signed by the leader of Nagorno-Karabakh, ordering the dissolution of the republic. Why is that so important?
Well, it is a very significant announcement because it is the first time that we're hearing from ethnic Armenians about the dissolution of this state, which they represented. The self-declared state has its representatives, it had a president, it had its ministers, and now it will cease to exist as Nagorno-Karabakh or Artsakh by January the 1st. It is also incumbent, according to that agreement signed between representatives of ethnic Armenians and the Azerbaijani government, that the Azerbaijani officials will make sure and allow for a safe exit for all ethnic Armenians who choose to leave, as well as ensuring that they are going to provide the conditions for the people who either stay behind or want to come back to live as Azerbaijani citizens according to the reintegration process. So it is a significant move, an announcement which again is going to dismay many ethnic Armenians who didn't think that this is going to come to an end, but now it is coming to the dissolution of the state that they actually were able to live in for the last 3 decades and now having to uproot themselves once again.
Yeah, just as you've been talking to us, Osama, we've been looking at pictures of the flow of ethnic Armenians and other people from Nagorno-Karabakh who are heading towards Armenia, and it looks as though those numbers are just going to get higher.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been seeing in the last few days. We were in the Lachin corridor, we were in the roads in Shusha, which are being taken by ethnic Armenians, not just from the city of Stepanakert or Khankindi, but also from nearby villages and other places which they are fleeing from. People are afraid of what's going to come next because of the history that they have faced in the last 3 decades, a constant barrage of animosity between these two sides. And people we've been speaking to have a wide array of opinions about how they feel. Many feel that they cannot live with Azerbaijanis. Some say they don't know the kind of uncertain future they're heading towards, but there are some people who are hopeful that they will be able to come back and live in this area, which they call their ancestral homes. And that is something that the Azerbaijani government wants to see as well, a coexistence of sorts that officials have been telling us that ethnic Armenians rather, and Azerbaijani citizens will be able to coexist side by side as citizens of a state and work towards a peaceful future.
Osama, you were describing to us the kind of structure that the government in Nagorno-Karabakh had. And I understand one of the formal officials in that government has been arrested. What more do we know about that?
Well, the Azerbaijanis have been making it very clear that once they announced this amnesty, that nobody is going to be prosecuted from the civilians or the paramilitary forces who took up arms against Azerbaijan. They said they are going to go after people who they call war criminals, people who've been involved in setting up the state, who they say are involved in taking up arms against the state, illegally crossing the border, funding terrorist activities, etc., etc. So in continuation of that, they've been able to capture at least one former official who is going through the border, and he faces up to 14 years in prison. Another former minister, the former foreign minister and advisor to the self-declared president, has surrendered himself to Azerbaijani authorities. And there are others who Azerbaijanis say they're still amongst the population in Stepanakert or Khankindi who they are going to go after. But having said that, they say that because these leaders had a pivotal role, and these commanders of the military had a pivotal role in what they call massacres against Azerbaijani soldiers and civilians, justice will be handed to them. But apart from that, people who want to stay behind, people who think they have a future in this territory should stay behind. And as you've been hearing from people who are crossing into Armenia, it is a promise that they find hard to believe.
Osama Bin Javed talking to us from Fuzuli. Osama, thank you very much indeed.